Hi, this is Lise from Active Mamas Podcast. It's with me is
Carole from Bob and Sugar's Belly Glass Blog. And today we will be cooking a curry chicken and tomato, and along with it will be a coleslaw.
Sounds yummy.
Yes, and so to start is 2 or 3, depending on how large of a meal you'll be cooking, 2 or 3 breasts of chicken, boneless and skinless. So we'll be cutting these into cubes.
And sometimes if you're coming home and wanting to make this meal, I would actually cut this up the night before, because I plan my meals ahead of time. I know what I'm making. And it just saves me some time, and I would, again, put it in a Ziploc bag and then just pour it into my pan when I need it.
Absolutely. And the good thing about cutting these guys into cubes is that they cook so much quicker, right? And your time, truly, it's a nice time frame. So this dish will actually be rendered. So you basically put it in your pan, all of your ingredients, and then you leave it on the stove and go do something else.
Nice.
On low, of course, because, you know, that alarm that tells you that things are burning, you know. It's not always toast that burns, right?
And so the other great thing is that's one pan to clean.
One pan, and you know, you can have, if you have leftover coleslaw, you can just throw that in the fridge. So that's always nice. And the reason that I married the coleslaw with this is that you can make this really spicy if you like.
Ooh.
So if you have spicy and you have something cool, veggie, and the coleslaw is a sour with a little bit of sweet, and I'll tell you how to do that without sugar. And you know, you can do it your way, I will do it my way. So just come back in a couple of minutes after I've cleaned my hands, and we'll get to cooking. Hands are clean. And so now we're just going to fry up the chicken in the pan. Now, I don't measure oil. I don't have a problem with oil being an issue. So, but I usually do only use about 2 teaspoons, 2 tablespoons. I circle the pan, right?
It's about a circle and a half.
Yeah, circle and a half. Perfect. And turn it on high. And I will I'll let it get hot first. But I would like to talk a little bit about cleaning and chicken. Because I have a little bit of a issue. I guess that's what it is. I have an issue with not cleaning up after chicken properly. So typically what I do when I'm making any kind of chicken, I will have hot water and soap in the sink. So as soon as I've used a utensil or a cutting board that has raw chicken on it, I will immediately wash it with water and soap. And you can't just use a cloth. You really have to use soap. It's just the way it is. Yes, you can use bleach. I would never use bleach every time. Don't get me wrong, I will once in a while take bleach and just clean everything. But my staple is soap and water. And, you know, it keeps that 24-hour flu from coming into our house. So
food poisoning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lise, is there such a thing as a 24-hour flu?
No. Usually if it's a 24-hour flu, it's usually some kind of food poisoning or something. And it might not be, you know, the full-blown food poisoning that we hear of. You just may not know that you've been contaminated, but but you have.
You have. So I try to prevent that by, you know, using soap and water pretty much after every touch of my utensils, and you know, my family stays pretty clean of the 24-hour flu. So just saying. And now we're just going to put the chicken in the pan.
Pan is nice and hot.
Pan is nice and hot. It's steaming up a little bit. Okay, and into this hot soapy water. This goes. Now, while my chicken cooks, I would typically be cutting tomatoes or opening my cans of, I've got canned tomatoes. Let's see if I can do that without spilling. And I would just get a big can of tomatoes, or about 6 tomatoes. And, you know, they make a big difference.
And again, those are some of the things that you can do to help cut down on the prep time that you have to do before you have to cook. Opening up the can really doesn't take that much time, but if you were to cut the tomatoes, you can cut it up the night before, have it all in containers or something in the fridge, and then when you come home, you just dump everything.
Absolutely.
That's my time-saving tip.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to throw some onion in with it. I cook my meat and my onion together. Some people do, some people don't. And I will do something that people really, I don't know, they like to add their spice later. I like to add my spice while my stuff is heating up. Now, it releases flavors, aromas, and especially with curry. Curry is one of those things that is fabulous when it gets warm. So I'm doing about, I don't know, 2 tablespoons because I love curry. Again, you can do it to any flavor that you want. Now, cumin it just makes it a little bit more spicy. It marries so nice with curry. So I put a little less of that because spice is good, but I don't like anything burning hot in my mouth. So we'll do that, and let's release some of these aromas. And
Smells good already.
it does. I love it. And so basically what I would do is stir this till it's done, till the chicken is not pink anymore, and you've got a little bit of browning happening. So that oil that you put in the pan beforehand, it gives it a chance to have some browning. Because if you put in chicken breast that has no fat on it, it just burns because it doesn't have any.
And the great thing about having a little bit of good fats in your diet is that it keeps you full for a lot longer, and it has that wonderful taste.
It does. Oh yeah, absolutely. It gives a different flavor to every type of oil. There are people that are connoisseurs of oil.
Yes.
It's amazing what people do. It really is.
And if you go to the grocery store and buy some of the products that, even a salad dressing that they've made fat-free, they have to change something in the dressing. They don't just remove the fat. They have to replace it to make it appealing. And a lot of times what they do is they add a lot of sugar.
Absolutely.
So if you look at the labels of a salad dressing that's fat-free and the regular fat, you'll notice a big difference in the back.
Indeed. All right, so now we're getting to the point where these guys are becoming white, so no longer pink. They are browning up.
Fabulous.
I know. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. I use sea salt. It doesn't have any sugar in it. Now Lise, you have a different type of a salt that you use as well.
So I use a Himalayan sea salt. It's just, for us, it's just a perfect flavor, and it's not coarse, and it doesn't raise your blood pressure. So
there you go. Wow. You know those things that you find out on the way to on your journey? Nobody tells you?
No, nobody tells you.
All right, so at this point, I've touched this utensil with raw meat. It goes in. I don't use the same utensil for cooked as I do with raw, so it's new. Okay, and now my tomatoes go in. And there you go. And I tend to now, I will add a little bit of water because I want that to reduce for an hour. So there's not quite enough liquid in there to sustain a reduction for an hour. You don't want to walk away and it to start burning and things start to go off. You know the alarms, right?
Yeah.
So just give that a little bit of stir. Make sure that all of the chicken is below your water line. So it's, It's got a nice submerge pattern here, and you leave it. You leave it, you leave it, you leave it.
And the great thing with that is that you can go and do something else. Like for me, I would put that on, and then I would do my kids' homework with them. And then while it's cooking, and then, you know, the flavor, you just smell it. It smells awesome.
And you know that an hour later, you have food. Now, what we're going to do in the meantime is we are going to prepare some coleslaw.